You could not ask for a more picture-perfect night for baseball in downtown St. Louis, Missouri. The final season of baseball at Busch Stadium. They'll move into a brand new ballpark next year, right next door. The Astros starting lineup under manager Phil Garner. Craig Biggio at second. Willie Taveras in center. Lance Berkman in left. Morgan Ensberg, a monster year and a monster division series against Atlanta. Third batting cleanup. Mike Lamb at first. Jason Lane in right. A latter third of Adam Everett, the shortstop. Brad Ausmus catching left-hander. Andy Pettitte. And on the mound for the Cardinals, their ace, more than likely the National League Cy Young Award winner this season, 30-year-old New Hampshire native Chris Carpenter.
You get a look at Carpenter's numbers on the season, certainly deserving of Cy Young consideration. Talking to Gary Gaetti, the hitting coach for the Astros before the game, and he thinks Carpenter has the best stuff in the National League. He throws a fastball, a curveball, a changeup. Very quick to the plate. Phil Garner was talking about it. Tony La Russa was talking about it. The combination of Carpenter's quickness, Molina's throwing ability behind home plate, figured to shut down the Astros running game.
The home team won every game in the series. Craig Biggio led off Game 7 with a home run. He digs in, looks at ball one up and in, and we are underway in the National League's championship series. Biggio, a .264 batter during the regular season, a career-high 26 home runs. One hopper to Abraham Nunez, and Biggio retired 1 away. Let's look at the Cardinals and cover the field, brought to you by State Farm. Gold gloves littered all over this Cardinal team, and very strong again up the middle. Edmonds in center field, flanked by Sanders and Walker. Eckstein came over from the Angels. Grzelcyk at second base. Nunez and Pujols on the corners. Yadier Molina. A deadly combination with Carpenter in shutting down the running game, and that's a big part of Willie Taveras' game. He's down a strike.
Taveras, of course, led all rookies this year with 34 stolen bases. Led most of the offensive categories for rookies this season, and a legitimate candidate for Rookie of the Year.
Carpenter quickly ahead at 0-2. Carpenter 21-5, the .280 ERA. Had a career best 13-game winning streak from mid-June until the beginning of September. He did slump down the stretch, but what a sensational year for the Cardinal ace. Breaking ball did not get the call from home plate umpire Tim McClellan.
Good place to miss right there, though, Tommy. If you're going to miss with breaking balls, you want them to be down or bouncing. You want to be hanging, breaking balls out over the middle of the plate.
Swung on and fouled out of play. Taveras, among the names you hear most frequently discussed for the National League's Rookie of the Year award. First among all rookies in runs, hits, 34 stolen bases, and a very impressive .291 batting average, making the jump from Double-A. That's a pitch the Cardinals want him to chase in this series.
And his manager Phil Garner has really been touting Taveras for the Rookie of the Year, citing the fact that he's been here all year. He started the season at the major league level, has played every game in the 05 season, as opposed to some of the other rookies who came up after the season started and put up great numbers.
Taveras gone swinging, 2 in a row, set down by Carpenter.
Tony La Russa talked about Chris Carpenter and his ability to move the ball in and out, up and down, change speeds. Really a consummate pitcher this season. In the past, he had been lumped into that category of a thrower with good stuff that someday will figure it out. Well, this was the year that Chris Carpenter figured it out.
Two down for Lance Berkman. He hit the grand slam in the 8th inning off Kyle Farnsworth in that wild 18-inning thriller. In Game 4, the walk-off home run by Chris Burke, sending the Astros to their second straight National League Championship Series. 2-0 on Berkman.
Got a good look at Burke sitting on the bench there watching the action. If you listen closely, you can hear his cell phone ringing. Hasn't stopped since he hit that home run the other day.
2-0 on Berkman, and rolled over foul. Carpenter this year became the first pitcher in the live ball era. Basically, that goes back to 1920. To go unbeaten in 16 consecutive starts. while at the same time going at least 7 innings and allowing no more than 3 runs in any of those games. So he was as close to unhittable over that amount of time as any of the greats over the last 90 years. Driven into straightaway center field. Edmonds on the run, not going to get it off his glove. And Berkman will pull into second base. I'm sure that will be scored a double. It would have been another Edmonds gem had he run that one down.
I'll tell you, Berkman's done a great job. We saw the opposite field grand slam. He likes to use the whole field goal up the middle. You'll see Jim Edmonds get a great jump on the ball, but he won't account for the slice on the ball. He turned around, got a great jump, but did not account for the ball coming back towards center field off the bat. Great view from Diamond Cam, and that ball going right back up the middle. That's a rare defensive mistake, I think, on Jim Edmonds' part out there. He knows that the ball off a left-handed bat will tail back towards center field. He got a great jump, turned and ran on it, but he needed to run more to his left.
One hopper to the mound off the bat of Morgan Ensberg, and that'll end the inning. Berkman a 2-out double. The Cardinals come to bat in a scoreless game. Come to bat, bottom half of the first inning in a scoreless game. Game 1 of his National League Championship Series. And David Eckstein, his first year in a Cardinal uniform, digging in to face left-hander Andy Pettitte. 33-year-old native of Deer Park, Texas, delivers strike 1. For those of you who would like to watch Game 2 between the White Sox and the Angels, you can flip on over to FX. That one's shot into right field, a base hit by Eckstein. Cardinals managed by Tony La Russa. Here's his lineup for Game 1. Jim Edmonds coming up. Albert Pujols at first. Reggie Sanders, 10 RBIs in a 3-game sweep over San Diego. Larry Walker in right. Mark Resalanek at second. A ladder third of Yadier Molina, Abraham Nunez, and Chris Carpenter. Eckstein at 11 stolen bases during the regular season. Was thrown out 8 times, so not a burner. Well, they like to put him in motion.
Not going anywhere with Pettitte's move, maybe the best in baseball. There's that play we were talking about with Jim Edmonds. Now he knows the ball's tailing on him. He's trying to reach back over his shoulder to make the play, and it hits him off the heel of the glove.
Ball 1 down low to Edmonds. Talking about the running game against either one of these starting pitchers, pretty much null and void. Opponents only had 9 stolen base attempts all year long against Pettitte. He picked off 4, and only 5 reached successfully.
Talking to Edmonds before today's ball game about facing Andy Pettitte, he said, you know, I don't mind facing him. I feel like I hit the ball hard against him. I think the last time I faced him, I hit 4 balls right at the center fielder. He said, I guess I don't hit him very well. That's an understatement. He's 3 for 30 against Pettitte.
But a good hitter's count here in the 2-0. Tardy on a fastball, fouled out of play.
Here's the regular season numbers on Andy Pettitte. 17-9, maybe the best pitcher in the game after the break when he was 11-2. Scouting report for the big lefty. Pitches to both sides of the plate with 3 pitches now with that cutter and changeup. Maybe more confidence than anybody in the game right now because of the way he's pitched in the second half.
Just inside 21 now to Edmonds. A 2.39 ERA for Pettitte, second best in the major leagues to teammate Roger Clemens. And it's the lowest ERA of his outstanding major league career. He's won 172 games.
That's a count a lot of managers like to start the runner and put it on the hitter to protect that base runner, but Edmonds swings and misses so much, I don't think you can afford that luxury.
And he wasn't going.
139 strikeouts on the season for Jim Edmonds, especially facing a tough left-hander. No guarantee that Edmonds is going to make contact and protect that runner.
3-2. We'll see if Eckstein gets started here. He's not going, and it's popped up. Right side of the infield for Biggio. One away.
Was that ever going to come down?
Let's take a look at how the Astros cover the field defensively. Brought to you by State Farm. 4 errors in a 4-game series against Atlanta. A better than average, if just average, defensive club overall.
Phil Garner will make defensive changes late in a ball game if he has a lead. Lance Berkman will come in from left field and play first base and be replaced by a better defensive outfielder. Phil Garner's got a couple to choose from on that bench.
Now the amazing Albert Pujols. Pujols during the regular season, another MVP-like year, .330 hitter, 41 home runs, 117 runs batted in. He started 2 and did not go around. So Pettitte has fallen behind both Edmonds and Pujols. 2 balls and no strikes.
Pujols talked about facing Pettitte, and he said he's so good at working both sides of the plate with both the cut fastball in, the changeup, and the 2-seam fastball away. He said, all I look for is a mistake. If I see something in the middle of the plate, I'm hacking.
Breaking ball and a 2-0 pitch drops in there, strike. Good 2-0 pitch there by Pettitte. Pujols money in the postseason, and that's what you want your big boys to do. Last year in the NLCS against Houston, he was the MVP. Hit .500 with 4 home runs and 9 batted in. Last year was the Pujols and Carlos Beltran show in this league championship series. Talked about the .500 batting average. That was 14 of 28. And not wasting any time in the division series against San Diego. 2-2.
You remember that series last year. If you missed the first inning, you were missing half the game. Both of these teams got off early.
During the regular season, the Cardinals scored 116 first-inning runs, far and away their best individual offensive inning. They like to jump the opposing team early.
2-2 to Pujols. Just off the outside corner. Now, unlike Edmonds, Pujols does put the ball in play. Do you start the runner on this 3-2 count?
I'm not sure if Tony will, but I think it's a lot safer bet with Pujols. We mentioned that Tony will play hit and run with his MVP candidate, unlike a lot of managers who like to let their big boys swing the bat. I wouldn't be surprised to see Eckstein running right here.
And I think Eck's smart enough not to get picked off if he is running.
He's not going, and it's in the air. Left field, Berkman with room. And Eckstein back to the bag. So after a leadoff single, there are 2 gone in the inning. Let's send it back to Los Angeles, and here's Kevin Kennedy.
Thank you, Tommy. Yesterday the Angels executed well. The White Sox did not. Well, right away, Jared Washburn hasn't pitched in 11 days. Tosses it over Darren Erstad's head. That would put Pasednik on second base. Bunting all afternoon and extra work. Ozzie Guillen had his club out there. Iguchi got it done. Jermaine Dodrobs was running with a ground ball. The execution was there. 1-0, top second.
Kevin, thank you very much. Jared Washburn unable to go in Game 4 of that American League Division Series. Came down with a throat infection. But he has always been a gamer, according to Mike Scioscia. And he's back out there tonight. Reggie Sanders. For the first time in the last 7 years, wearing the same uniform in back-to-back seasons. And look at the numbers in a 3-game sweep of San Diego. A National League Division Series record and a real turnaround from postseasons past for Reggie Sanders. In fact, through 2004, in nearly 200 at-bats, he had only knocked in 13 runs. He had 10 of them in 3 games against San Diego.
And there's no question he's the hottest player for the Cardinals coming in. But for me, he's the best matchup against Andy Pettitte of anybody in this lineup. He thinks he's going to throw him away, but Reggie's still very, very dangerous on anything on the inner half.
There goes a runner, and it's fouled back out of play.
He had a monster cut on that one. I mean, you look at this lineup when you talk about guys like Walker and Pujols and Edmonds. To me, the most dangerous hitter in the lineup for the Cardinals today against Andy Pettitte is Reggie Sanders.
Andy Pettitte making his 32nd career postseason start tonight, tying Tom Glavine for the most starts in the playoffs among all active pitchers. And carries a 5-game league championship series winning streak into tonight's game. A streak bested all time only by Dave Stewart and Juan Guzman. Stu was pretty good in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did all right.
He only won 8 in a row. And of course, many of those for the Cardinal skipper Tony La Russa. Bob, you managed Reggie Sanders on your 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks World Championship club. Had a big 4-year for you in 01.
He really did. I mean, Reggie does so many things well. His skills have eroded somewhat at this stage of his career, but he's always been considered a 5-tool player. Punches that one foul down the first baseline. He can run well. Good defender in the outfield. Throws better than average. Got pop in his bat. Has hit for a high average in his career. Wasn't real happy with me sitting him down for Game 7 of that World Series, but we felt that Danny Batista was a better matchup against Roger Clemens in that game, and Batista ended up driving in the first run of the ball game. And Reggie got his ring, so I think he's over.
And that was the reason, too. I mean, Reggie, the biggest knock on him was always that he couldn't catch up with a good fastball. Certainly Roger has one.
In the air, left field. Berkman looking up, and Reggie Sanders strikes early in Game 1.
Very surprised on pitch location with Sanders. This ball's middle in. They pitched almost every pitch middle in to Sanders. He can handle that pitch. Pettitte throws 91 max. He's not the Roger Clemens that can throw the ball past Reggie Sanders, and that's why I thought he's the most dangerous guy in the lineup for the Cards today.
Reggie's always been very much a streaky hitter, and it's obvious he is in a serious hot streak right now.
12 RBIs and 13 at-bats in this postseason now for Reggie Sanders. Larry Walker down a strike. Boy, is he hot.
Look at the delivery of Andy Pettitte from Diamond Cam, and then you get a look at the swing of Reggie Sanders. Full extension through the ball, the little hop, skip, and a jump at the end. He knew he got every bit of it.
It's a little Sosa-esque.
Well, when you hit him 445 feet, you can do cartwheels down the first baseline, I guess.
Not a better guy in the game of baseball than Reggie Sanders.
Nope. 0-2 now to Larry Walker. And another roller foul.
How much fun is that? Unless you're Andy Pettitte.
Oh, I know it's a lot of fun for Chris Carpenter. Spot him 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning. A guy that is capable of shutting down the opposing team's offense.
There's strike 3 called to Walker, and that will end the opening inning. But much like Game 1 of last year, the Cardinals in the first inning play long ball. Sanders rolling in the postseason. Top of the second inning, Astros trailing 2-0 on a 2-run home run by Reggie Sanders. And the Cardinals during the regular season, when scoring first, a major league best, 72 wins and only 24 losses. Mike Lamb leads things off here in the Houston second inning and takes Hine away. 3 balls and no strikes. Lamb during the season a .236 batter. 12 home runs, 53 batted in, but finished very strong after slumping most of the year. And a 4. Oh, they called it a strike. Maybe a 3-0 gimme. Off the end of the bat, pulled to Grzelcyk. 1 away.
Well, our buddy Scooter's going to demonstrate what a curveball is. Both these pitchers feature a curveball in the game tonight.
This is Scooter. You know, a sweeping curveball can save my gorgeous face from getting smacked. I scoop from one side of the plate to the other and drop down at the same time. So remember, a sweeping curveball sweeps right over home plate.
Ground ball, the first pitch to Jason Lane, and just like that, 5 pitches and 2 outs here in the Houston second inning for Carpenter.
Somebody must have thrown Scooter a curveball and told him that it was a 8:29 start instead of the Central Time 7:29 start. He usually shows up in the first, but you know, he just can't party like he used to.
Yeah.
Well, you were out with him for a while last night.
I told him, be here on time. Lose your job doing that kind of stuff.
I think Scooter's pretty secure.
Unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, he'll be here long after we're all gone.
There is little doubt about that.
And we've seen Carpenter use that curveball in the early going. A lot of times the Cardinal pitchers will incorporate pitches as the game goes on. Carpenter's been known to start a ball game just throwing fastballs and changeups, and then second time through the order he'll incorporate the breaking ball a little bit more, but showing curve early in this game. This is a good two-seam fastball, runs right in on the hands of Adam Everett.
3 pitches and Everett gone. Second strikeout for Carpenter after an inning and a half in game 1, 2-0 Redbird. Mark Grzelcyk to lead things off in the Cardinals' second inning. Reggie Sanders a 2-run home run in the opening frame, and that's where we stand. 2-0 St. Louis in game 1 of his National League Championship Series. Swung on and fouled out of play, and Pettitte ahead. 0-2. Pettitte earned the win in game 1 of a National League Division Series against Atlanta. 7 innings, 3 runs, allowed 2 home runs in the game. The most home runs he had allowed in a single game all year. And already an early home run here tonight from Sanders. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Grzelcyk says that Pettitte's so tough on him is because he always gets ahead and then he starts to nibble. That's what he's doing in this at-bat. Got ahead 0-2, and now he's just trying to get Grzelcyk to chase something out of the zone.
Two and 2 to Grzelcyk. Bouncing ball up the middle and into center field. A pleasure to be joined by the 4th member of our broadcast team here tonight. Let's send it downstairs. Hello, Kenny Albert.
Great to be here, Tom. You mentioned just a moment ago that Andy Pettitte started game 1 last week against the Atlanta Braves. While with the Yankees, Pettitte started a series opener on 4 occasions. Now in game 1s of series, Pettitte is 2-1 with 2 no decisions. But get this, in all 5 series in which Pettitte has started game 1, his team has gone on to win the series. Tom?
Great stuff indeed, Kenny Albert. Thank you very much. And of course, all of those series coming while wearing, up until this year, a New York Yankees uniform. And winning the opening game this year in game 1 against Atlanta.
And of course, Pettitte with the 2nd most postseason wins in the history of the game, right behind John Smoltz. Smoltz, who had a gutty performance in game 2 against Roger Clemens.
Now Yadier Molina. All 3 of the Molina brothers are playing tonight, or at least in uniform, in both league championship series.
How proud are you if you're Mr. Molina?
Well, Mama had a part in that mix,
well,
too.
Yeah, hey.
Fly ball off the end of the bat into short left field. Easy for Berkman, and there's one gone. While we have a moment, let's send it back to Los Angeles and again check in with Kevin Kennedy.
Speaking of Molinas, we're going to see another one, Jose, in this ballgame. There's a ball by Aaron Rowan, smoked to right field. Vladdy boots it out there. Then he would overthrow the cutoff man. Aaron Rowan on his horse going to third base. Nobody out now, mind you. Joey Cora says, hey, Go home. There's a Molina at home, though. Rob Clemens to throw a strike to him. That's Jose taking a page from his brother. Great tag. Aggressive base running. Did not work out this time. 1-0 Sox in the third.
Kevin Kennedy, thank you very much. And again, we remind you, if in your local market, as that is a fair ball down the right field line by Abraham Nunez. It's off the stands, and the Astros got a break right there. If that ball goes down into the right field corner, Grzelcyk easily scores.
Well, not as much of the stands jutting out into foul territory as we see in a lot of other ballparks, but Nunez hits that ball right down the first baseline. You can see it landed in foul territory after the bag. However, it went right over the base in the eyes of Greg Gibson, the first base umpire. And you're right, Tom. That ricochet off the bleachers back to Jason Lane in right field held Grzelcyk at third base.
Well, now the Astros battery will meet out on the mound, joined by the shortstop Adam Everett. Here you have a guy in Chris Carpenter, not much of a hitter, only 5 hits and 77 at bats on the year, but a pretty good bunter.
A real good bunter and a real good opportunity to look for a squeeze play right here. Brad Ausmus is going to step out in front of home plate and give the signs to his middle infielders what he's going to do should Nunez attempt a stolen base. St. Louis with 13 successful squeezes during the season, tops in baseball. Houston with 7 during the regular season.
Now, this is going to be one of those safety squeeze bunt attempts.
Taking high and away, almost like a pitch out there from Pettitte.
I wanted to look at this play and Mike Lamb coming off of first base. Ordinarily, you think, how do you get a ball past the first baseman when he's holding the guy on? But that ball was scalded down the first base line, hit the other way. Lamb had good reaction time, just couldn't get there in time. Very difficult to hit a ball that hard and keep it fair going the other way.
Pettitte going to back off the rubber. Well, when you know the other team is not afraid to do it, it's certainly more on the forefront in your mind that they might do it. Carpenter showed bunt, and they pitch out. Well, if you're going to do it, the time to do it is right now. There are very few managers up there when the batter is trying to give himself up that are going to pitch out again 2-0.
The one defense that the Astros have is Andy Pettitte's pickoff move to first base. It's such a good move. Not only does it fool runners, it fools hitters. If he throws a pickoff attempt to first base right here, Carpenter may tip his hand at home plate, or even the runner at third, Grzelcyk, may break.
Here he comes. They put it down, and they have successfully squeezed again. 2-0 count. Why not? 3-0 Redbirds. Their 16th successful squeeze on the year.
Well, the thing is, you know they're going to do it, or they're going to attempt it at some point in the at-bat. You just don't know when. But you called it, Tommy. After a pitch out runs the count to 2-0, that's a perfect time to put the squeeze on. This is a squeeze play. You'll see the runner Grzelcyk breaking. Carpenter gets the bunt down in front of home plate. Pettitte only has the play at first base.
Grzelcyk did a great job of not breaking early, considering how good a move that Pettitte has. You can really mess it up if you break too early. Here's Brad right there. He's got to make sure that Pettitte comes to the plate. Not moving, not moving. Now he goes. That doesn't tip anything off as far as the squeeze play is concerned. He talked about the hitter squaring around too early. If he breaks too early and Pettitte's throwing over to first base, you're in trouble.
A ball and a strike to David Eckstein. I'd like to again remind those of you in a market where this game is on your Fox affiliate, if you'd like to watch Game 2 between the White Sox and the Angels, you can turn over to FX on your local cable system. Grounded foul.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Pettitte didn't attempt a pickoff move over there at first base, just to see if the Cardinals would tip their hand somewhere, whether it be the runner at third base, the hitter, or to force Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, to go through the signs once again.
Eckstein, such a dangerous hitter, even behind in the count. In fact, had more two-strike base hits than any player in Major League Baseball. 87 of them. And with runners in scoring position, Tony La Russa was talking about it before the game today. 61 RBIs for Eckstein. He hits 373 with runners in scoring position. Still 1-2. Well, Tony La Russa, how about talking to him about this guy before the game?
He's one of the toughest players he's ever seen. He hangs in at second base on the double play, gives you a good at bat every time he steps into that batter's box.
He is the guy that nobody else wants to play against. Said it before, I'll say it again. He's like your little brother that tags along with you, and all you want him to do is go home.
Line to the first baseman Lamb, which will end the inning. A single, a one-out single, a suicide squeeze by Carpenter. 3-0 Redbirds at the end of 2. Reggie Sanders, a 2-run home run in the opening inning. Chris Carpenter, a suicide squeeze successfully put down. It's 3-0 St. Louis as we begin the third in Game 1 of this National League Championship Series. Brad Ausmus down a strike. Ausmus, of course, tied the game. A 2-out solo home run in the 9th inning off Kyle Farnsworth, sending that Game 4 of a National League Division Series into extra innings. 9 wasn't good enough. They had to double that.
Would have been good enough if not for Ausmus. Last out in the 9th.
Barely got over the yellow stripe in left center field.
Ausmus had a great line about that home run. Someone asked him, had he ever been happier about any home run he had ever hit? And he said, yeah, the one that Burke hit.
Yep. Line into left center field. That'll be a base hit for Ausmus, who swung a red-hot bat over the second half of the season. He was having an Ausmus-like year up until the end of June, and then really got it turned around.
It's a good quick swing on this two-seam fastball that Carpenter leaves out over the plate. Goes down and golfs it into left center field. Yeah, if Ausmus continues to swing the bat the way he has over the last week to 10 days, I wouldn't be surprised to see Phil Garner make some changes in his batting order. Try to take advantage of the hot hitter, put him up higher in the order, give him more opportunities to perhaps drive in runs.
Pettitte put down 15 successful punts this year. Carpenter thought about it and takes he out at first base. Give Pettitte the sacrifice, advancing Ausmus on to second. And Mulder's solid in a Game 2 win over San Diego. Now a scoring chance for the Astros. Runner at second base. One out here in the third for Biggio, who bounced to third his first time up. Biggio, like Bagwell and the original Killer Bees, all limped through the postseason in their appearances in the late 90s and all the way through 2003. For the last 2 years, Biggio has gotten right in line. Quite looked like a pretty good pitch right there. 3 balls and no strikes. Bagwell, of course, Biggio's running mate for the better part of 15 years. On the bench with shoulder surgery.
Just a little bit down. Molina tried to hold it there at the bottom of the strike zone, right at the bottom of the knees, but Tim McClellan didn't see it that way.
A 2-out walk to Biggio. First walk of the game by Carpenter. Now Carpenter certainly gave Phil Garner headaches during the regular season. Carpenter 4-0 against Houston this year with an ERA of under 2. But it should be noted, the last time he faced him when the Astros came in here in a must-win situation in that wild card race with the Phillies. On September the 28th, they banged Carpenter all over the ballpark here at Busch. 9 hits in 6 innings and 6 runs. Strike one to Willie Taveras.
Now, guys, I really like some of the gamesmanship we're already seeing between the two managers. We talked about the squeeze situation that came up. I really don't think they were going to squeeze until La Russa felt he was forced to do it with a 2-0 count. I think they were just going to drop the bunt down. Grzelcyk at third was going to play out the situation, see where the bunt and how it was handled. They were going to move the runner up and then give Eckstein a shot with guys on second and third. And then once they pitched out and it became a 2-0 count, La Russa said, hey, I have a reputation of doing this. You think you're going to mess around with me? I'm going to go ahead and do it.
And it worked.
Yes, it did.
A little bit high to Taveras, who struck out his first time up.
Thought it was interesting today, Tommy. You asked Tony La Russa, is there a count that you like to squeeze on? And he kind of had a smirk on his face when he said, I better not have a count I'd like to squeeze on. That's part of the surprise of the play. If you do it in the same count every time, it makes it very easy to defend against the squeeze.
Yeah, and he basically said, you know, it wasn't so much that he loves to squeeze so much. It's what you talked about in the open, the fact that they've had to do a little bit more of those type of plays in order to score runs. And when you have a success rate of doing it 18 times and being successful 15 times, who's to stop you?
Grounded foul. Taveras hanging around after falling behind 2 strikes in this at bat. 2 on. A big scoring chance for the Astros, trailing by 3 here in the third. Two balls and 2 strikes. Now the Astros, through large chunks of this season, really struggle to score runs. No secret for anybody who follows Phil Garner's team. But in the division series with runners in scoring position, they hit .371 against Atlanta. They're going to need plenty of that in this series against St. Louis. Action pitch here, 2-2. And again fouled out of play.
One of the problems that Carpenter had down the stretch, as you had mentioned, Tommy, is that he lost location. Wasn't as sharp, wasn't able to hit his spots like he had all season long, and he's going through a little bit of that right now. There's a 2-seam fastball. A little bit up in the zone. Taveras fouls that one off. Working the count well in this at-bat.
The Cardinals obviously hoping to get a double play ground ball here. They turned 7 against the Padres in the division series. As I mentioned earlier, they led the major leagues in double plays turned this year. However, Willie Taveras and his speed at home plate is going to make it tough to turn 2. In close to 600 at bats this year, he only grounded into 4 double plays.
That's one of the reasons they flip-flop he and Biggio. Garner said this organization's had a lot of success with Biggio being a leadoff hitter, and you're not going to double off Willie very often.
3-2 pitch. Will they start the runners here? No. And there's ball 4, and the Astros have them loaded, trailing 3-0. Back-to-back walks by Carpenter to Biggio and Taveras. And here comes the Astros' best hitter. He didn't put up the biggest numbers this year. Lance Berkman, after tearing up his knee in a flag football game at a church during the offseason, missed a month and a half. But he is their best hitter.
No, Willie Taveras is not an easy guy to walk.
No, he isn't.
Last time Berkman came up with the bases juiced, 8th inning, down 6-1 in Game 4, an opposite field grand slam off Kyle Farnsworth. There were 2 grand slams, in fact, hit in that game. And a bullet to the right side, could be 2. There's 1. And that's a double play. A missed scoring chance for the Astros in the top of the 3rd inning. So the heart of the order coming up for St. Louis with a 3-0 lead against Andy Pettitte. Jim Edmonds looks at ball 1. Edmonds, Pujols, and Reggie Sanders in the St. Louis 3rd. For those of you interested in watching Game 2 between the White Sox and the Angels, we'll continue to remind you, if you're just joining us, you can turn over to FX and join Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and Lou Piniella for Game 2 of that series. Biggio in short right field. The pirouette, 1 away.
Take another look at that double play. Watch Eckstein have to really stop his cadence toward first base because the throw was pulling him off. Now he doesn't have any momentum behind the throw. Pujols does a nice job of picking that out. But Eckstein could have easily been pulled off the bag by that throw. Grzelcyk hurried it. He had much more time to make that double play because of how hard the ball was hit.
Get a look at Diamond Cam and Albert Pujols digging in with the bases empty and one out. Pujols just got underneath one and flied out to left field his first time up. 1 ball and 1 strike. For the first 5 years of his major league career, few have ever turned in 5 seasons like Albert Pujols. This is all time. First 5 years of a big league career. First in doubles, extra base hits. Second in home runs. Third in runs and runs batted in. Those are some serious big league numbers.
That'd be second in number of home runs, but the only player ever to hit 30 plus in his first 5 seasons. Amazing.
Bob Brenly, you saw the Chicago Cubs play the Cardinals and the Astros 19 times apiece this summer. Pujols and Derek Lee duking it out all season long, along with Andrew Jones, as to who will be the National League's most valuable player. Pujols takes ball 4. Time for our Verizon VCast game summary. We recap the 2004 National League Championship Series between these two teams, won by St. Louis 4-3. Only 3 runs separated the two teams, and that was the final margin of victory in Game 7. We had walk-off home runs by Kent in Game 5, Edmonds in Game 6, and 25 home runs combined by the two teams.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, though, 2 different teams in last year's NLCS than we're seeing this year. A power up and down the lineup for both ball clubs last year. Teams that could slug the other ball club into submission. As we talked about earlier, this figures to be a manufacture your runs kind of a series.
And you hear the crowd booing now with the 2 pickoff attempts over there for Pujols. Everybody thinking big power hitter, where's he going? He led this team in stolen bases. He had 16. It was more than any other Cardinal. Does it all, doesn't he?
Reggie Sanders had 2-run home run, and you get a look at the move by Andy Pettitte, regarded as the best, as we mentioned, in baseball. Mark Mulder, in fact, tomorrow night starter, wearing a microphone for us down in the Cardinal dugout tonight, was chatting a short while ago with Jeff Suppan to his right, your left. And Mark discussing that Pettitte move a moment ago. We'll eavesdrop on him here in a minute. Good play at third by Ensberg, and that will be a double play to end the inning. If you don't get it, you catch it in the teeth. So get the leather on it. Top of the 4th inning, Game 1 of his National League Championship Series. And Morgan Ensberg drives one into left center field. Sanders on the run, not going to get it. And it bounces over the wall. A ground rule double for Morgan Ensberg.
Boy, Reggie Sanders with a very indirect route to where that ball came down. Ensberg with big time pull power from that open stance. Drives this ball deep into the gap in left center field. Little corkscrew slider right there, looked like, in the middle of the plate. Sanders started straight to his left, then had to turn and go back to the warning track as that ball bounces up into the bullpen.
Well, the Astros have got to score in this inning. Granted, we're only in the 4th, but how many scoring chances are you getting against Carpenter?
Especially when you put a guy on second with nobody out.
Mike Lamb bounced out to Grzelcyk his first time up.
It's going to be tougher for Mike Lamb to move the runner over because they know his power is to the pull field and right. So far, they've worked him away. If he wants to get the ball to the right side, he's going to have to get out and hook one. Not going to do it with that swing. This team cannot afford to not fundamentally play sound baseball. In this situation, you're still looking at a score that's doable. It's only 3-0. As you said, Tommy, you must score. You must get this guy over to third base with nobody out.
And not to mention the psychological effect that would have on the Astros to feel like they're back into the ball game. They can score against the Cardinals and Chris Carpenter.
Talk about Lamb catching fire the final month of the year. You look including the postseason. 6 home runs, 13 batted in. I mean, this guy's proven in years past when given a chance to play, he can hit. But didn't do much of it the first 4.5 months of the season. He will move the runner. Bobbled by Grzelcyk. But advancing on to third is Ensberg. So mission accomplished. Runner at third, 1 out in the inning. Get him on, get him over. Now can they get him in?
And that is a nice job right there. When you're a left-handed hitter up there and you know that all they're going to do is sink fastballs away, keep the ball in the outer half of the plate, and your job is to get out there and make sure you hit it to the right side. Tough to do, because a lot of times you'll get out there and hook the ball, you'll pop the ball up because you're leaning out too far to get it.
Cardinals conceding the run as Lamb looks at ball 1 down low. Or Jason Lane, I beg your pardon.
Albert Pujols over there at first base plays as far off the bag as any first baseman I've ever seen. He's plugging the hole over there between first and second, allowing Grzelcyk to cheat up the middle a little bit. Eckstein is cheating toward the hole a little bit, anticipating that Lane's going to pull the ball. But look at Pujols in his position in relation to first base.
That's a long run back to first base on a ball hit to Eckstein at short.
2-0. Inside, 3 balls and no strikes.
And that could possibly explain why Albert Pujols has 14 errors on the season. An unusually high number for a first baseman, but when you cover that kind of ground on the right side of the infield, you're going to be more susceptible to making errors.
4-pitch walk to Jason Lane. 3 walks. The last 6 hitters that Carpenter has faced in the game. Walked him back-to-back in the third, Biggio and Taveras. And now 1 out walk to Lane. Runners on the corners, and here comes Adam Everett.
You know, Tommy, I think right there that's something that Carpenter learned from Roger Clemens when they spent time together in Toronto. He doesn't want Lane, a guy who hit 26 home runs on the year, pitch around him, go after Everett, and you're in a double play situation with Lane on first base.
Cardinals already have turned a big double play in the ball game tonight. Berkman ending the 3rd inning. And, you know, fellas, we talked about it earlier. This Houston offense has had a hard time scoring runs all season. An early chance tonight, unable to get it done. And now another golden chance.
Well, you just can't let the opportunities slip away. You know, Tony La Russa at some point in this ball game a little bit later on is going to start playing mix and match with his bullpen. So every chance you have to break through and score a run, you need to capitalize. Both these teams need to do that in this series.
A huge at-bat right here for Adam Everett, knowing that he basically pitched around Lane to get to him. He knows he wants to put him into a ground ball double play situation. Everett had career highs in home runs and RBIs this year. Pretty good year power-wise.
Chase that one down and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Phil Garner said that his team did not do a very good job in this situation with guys on third base. They did not look enough to hit the ball to the middle of the field. Hit the ball to the big part of the field. At the very least, drive a ball, get some lift on it, get it to the outfield where you can drive in a run with a sacrifice fly.
Hit that one off the end of the bat, foul. Carpenter already has induced in just better than 9 innings, 4 double play ground balls through a start and 4 innings tonight. Again, we remind you, for those of you who would like to watch Game 2 between the Angels and White Sox, you can turn over to FX. 1-2 on Adam Everett. Breaking ball, and he fought it off.
Well, it shouldn't be any surprise that Carpenter has 8 outs of his 10 on ground balls so far in this game. Throughout the course of the regular season, he averaged 2 ground ball outs for every fly ball out.
You were talking about the way a lot of these pitchers, especially a guy like Carpenter, will just occasionally mix in that breaking ball, even though it's an above-average breaking ball. But when you have the ability to sink a two-seamer, cut a fastball to the other side of the plate, and throw the changeup, you don't need to throw that breaking ball too often. You can surprise them with it.
Broke his bat, chipped his bat on another breaking ball. But Everett hanging in there. I mean, not getting real good swings, not much contact, but he's waiting to drive something. If he can get another one to hit. Well, this November, television's best drama just keeps getting better with the most powerful episodes of the year. Emmy Award winner House returns all new Tuesday, November the 1st, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, only on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised. We're in the house of the St. Louis Cardinals. They lead 3-0. And a tapper down to third. They throw to the plate, and the runner is out at the plate. What a play by Abraham Nunez.
This is a great play, Tommy, because you don't have a chance at a double play. You're only going to get one out, so why not take the lead runner? Molina going to the inside. Watch him calling for the ball on the inside from Nunez. Look at that. Awesome. Boy, that's a pretty play. That's a play that can easily get screwed up. If you hit the runner in the back, you're in big trouble, Bob.
Yeah, Nunez was about a step inside the baseline, and as you said, Molina's target was inside the baseline, right into your living room there from Diamond Cam. Gave Nunez a real nice throwing lane to get that out at home plate.
Ground ball at Grzelcyk will end the inning. Two more stranded by the Astros. They've left 5 on base through the front 4. Larry Walker to begin the St. Louis 4th inning. Cardinals leading 3-0 over Andy Pettitte and the Astros. Broken back, base hit into center field by Walker. First hit of the postseason for Walker. He was 0 for 10.
Guys, let's take a look at that play at the plate. We'll stop it right here. Look at Molina at home. There is no lane to throw the ball to home at this point, but he's going to move out to create a lane for Nunez to throw. You see the runner, Ensberg's going way inside to try to get hit, and he still can't because Molina went way inside. It's a beautiful play by Molina and Nunez.
Play he had, really. First would have been a tough play.
We thank Mark Mulder for wearing a microphone for us tonight. He'll get the ball in game 2 tomorrow. Now back out of play by Grzelcyk, who singled and scored on the suicide squeeze by Carpenter in the St. Louis 2nd inning.
You know, Bob, when we first saw that play at the plate, my first thought was, why didn't Ensberg run further inside to try to get hit? But he really did.
I think he did. I think it was good base running on his part. He saw Molina moving inside. He tried to get in the line of the throw, but just couldn't get over there far enough.
And the amazing thing, we heard so much about 2 players in particular from Tony La Russa before the game. David Eckstein and Abraham Nunez. Nunez before this year had only played 8 games in his entire career at third base. And he's filling in, of course, for the perennial all-star third baseman Scott Rowland. Tied him up, he went around.
When I asked Nunez about what the toughest part about moving over to third base was, he told me the different throwing angles. When that's an angle that just doesn't come up very often, the one that he just had to make, and he did it brilliantly.
Yadier Molina flied out to left. His first time up, he's down a strike. What a pickup down at first by Lamb. They get one. The return throw in time. My, oh my, what a play by Lamb. Double play ends the inning. 3-0 Cardinals. We go to the 5th. Andy Pettitte to lead things off in the Houston 5th inning, trailing 3-0. 3 runs, 5 hits, 1 man left on base for St. Louis. No runs, 3 hits, and 5 stranded by the Astros.
Seen some stellar defense from guys that are playing out of position. Nunez at third, and then Mike Lamb down at first. Olay. A brilliant play right there. And we couldn't find Lamb on the bench after that play because he was getting himself a new pair of sliding shorts.
Out at first is Pettitte. Stay in Major League Baseball history. October 12th, '83. Mike Boddicker became the first rookie to pitch a 3-hitter in a World Series game since Dickie Kerr in 1919. Boddicker's gem tied that series in 1 game apiece. For more MLB information, log on to foxsports.com. On MSN, keyword Budweiser.
Hey, you talk about that play that Mike Lamb made down there at first base. He's a guy that Phil Garner routinely takes out of the ball game late for defensive purposes, but turned in a gem right there. Well, holding that runner on your range is minimal down there at first base. All you can do is react to what you see, and that time Lamb made like a goalie down there. Made a one-handed glove save, threw on to second base, and Everett threw a little bit of a changeup back to first, but they had plenty of time to get the double play.
Greg Biggio 0 for 1, bounced to third in the first inning and then drew a walk into third. This one in the air, left center field, easily for Edmonds. 2 away. Let's send it back to Los Angeles and check in with Jeannie Velasco.
Well, Kevin Kennedy told us in the pregame show it wouldn't be a superstar that made the difference in the ALCS tonight, but for a member of the support staff. How about Rob Quinlan? Rob with 2 Bs with 1 big run on the board, tying it up, bottom 5 in Chicago.
Boy, how about that win last night by the Angels after all the traveling, playing Sunday night in New York, flying all night to Anaheim, winning game 5 there, flying all night, landing in Chicago, winning game 1 last night. 1 hopper to the mound, and the Astros going in order for just a second time tonight. Abraham Nunez to begin things against Andy Pettitte. Bottom half of the 5th inning. St. Louis a 3-0 lead. Reggie Sanders a 2-out 2-run home run in the first inning, giving Sanders 12 RBIs in 13 postseason at bats in 05. And then a suicide squeeze put down by Chris Carpenter for the Cardinals' 3rd run that came in the 2nd inning. Carpenter to follow Nunez and roll over to the top of the order with David Eckstein. Into left center field. A base hit by Nunez, who is 2 for 2. We caught up with Astros pitching coach Jim Hickey a moment ago and got his thoughts on Andy Pettitte outside of the Sanders home run in the first.
Yeah, overall, I think he made the one mistake to Sanders, cost him a couple of runs. Overall, I think he's settled in a little bit right now, and he's probably going to roll, give us a couple of more zeros, and give us a chance to get back into it.
Do you see anything from the Cardinals offensively that indicates that maybe they're trying to make an adjustment to that cutter that Andy throws in on the hands of the right-handers?
You know, I'm not sure that it's tough to see from the side. I go up there and I watch an inning here or a pitch here or a batter there, but it's tough to tell. I don't think they're really making any great adjustment. It's just been a defensive showcase out here, a plethora of defensive plays. It's unbelievable.
Jim, thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
Plethora.
Gesundheit.
Butted up the first base line. And Carpenter his 2nd sacrifice, the other of the suicide squeeze variety. Nunez the 2nd, and during the LCS we thought we'd get a look at how the starting pitchers are holding up velocity wise. So here's the Exxon Mobil Speed Pass speed comparison. Carpenter a harder thrower than Pettitte.
Carpenter a harder thrower. You'd have to call him a power pitcher, but both these guys rely more on location than just sheer velocity. Neither one of the guys can rear back and just throw the ball down the heart of the plate, even though Carpenter's hitting the mid-90s.
Now David Eckstein with a runner at second base. And a breaking ball in there, strike 1. We told you Eckstein A .373 batter with runners in scoring position during the regular season.
Eckstein has drilled 2 balls to the right side of the infield in his first 2 at-bats. One for a base hit, one for a line out to the second baseman. Look for him to continue to go up the middle and the other way. See the area over here where they're holding on second base. There's a lot of room for Eckstein to hit. Loves to go that way anyway.
And he goes the other way and dumps it in, a base hit. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes a throw. It is not in time, and Eckstein delivers again. 4-0 St. Louis.
The kid can flat out play the game. Watch the instincts he has rounding first base. Mike Lamb does a great job of acting like he's going to cut the ball. You saw him right there. Eckstein said, no way you're cutting this ball off. I'm going to keep going to second base. It's a tough read.
Cardinals doing all the little things right with the front 5 innings here tonight.
Well, David Eckstein is listed at 5'7" in the media guide. That may be giving him an inch or 2, but look at him go up on his toes to get on top of that high fastball and tomahawk it into right field. This guy uses every bit of his body to get on top of that ball, go to the opposite field, just like you said he was going to, Steve.
1-0 the count on Jim Edmonds. Eckstein in scoring position. In the air, short center field, and Eckstein will bluff the tag, but not going anywhere. Our Subway pitching matchup. We look forward to Game 2 of this National League Championship Series, and again, it doesn't get much better than this right here on Fox. Roy Oswalt for a 2nd straight year, a 20-win season, and Mark Mulder his first after leaving Oakland in a St. Louis uniform, a 16-game winner.
I was thinking about that ball that Eckstein drove into right field. He kind of has to get up on his toes just to jump into a Miata, doesn't he? You talk about a guy who has made himself into a great player. Everybody his whole life has told him he's too small to play. Had some good seasons with the Angels, and then they pretty much had given up on him. Didn't really want him back. Tony La Russa said when he came over here, I was excited to get him. I had no idea he was this good.
A lot of people around baseball, myself included, thought the Cardinals were really going to miss not only Edgar Renteria at shortstop, but Mike Matheny, the catcher that had handled the pitching staff here in St. Louis so well for so many years. But Yadier Molina has stepped in more than adequately behind home plate, and David Eckstein has become the emotional leader of this ball club.
Well, really, when you get down to it, fellas, isn't that what makes an organization a great organization among many, many other things? It's not only the players you bring in, but it's also the players that you're willing to let walk away. I mean, Matheny, a very, very good player, but when it's somebody else's time, Molina in this case, it's time.
Walt Jocketty has done an amazing job for this Cardinal organization in doing just that.
Pulls to right field, and another Cardinal run. 5-0.
For a hitter who has the power that Albert Pujols does, he's got a very compact swing, does not lift that front leg. You'll just see he lifts his heel off the ground, puts it right back down, and more often than not with runners in scoring position, Albert Pujols looks to drive the ball to the opposite field. Got a fastball up and out over the plate, quick compact swing for a big power hitter driving home the run.
So Andy Pettitte, one of the best postseason pitchers of his era, getting knocked around in St. Louis tonight. Cardinals with 5 runs and 8 base hits, and we're only in the 5th inning.
Well, Bobby, I could never certainly relate to that, but don't you think Pujols, who has the ability to go out of the yard the other way or any way makes it easier for him to stay on the ball longer in run scoring situations because he can drive the ball out of the park the other way.
He could do that, and with that swing we just saw, driving in the run, getting a base hit, if a pitcher makes a mistake with an off-speed pitch, it's going to go a long way out there to left field.
Yep.
When your approach is to hit the ball to the big part of the ballpark and a pitcher makes a mistake with an off-speed pitch, that's when you see tape measure home runs.
You get fooled just a little bit, you get your hands out front, you get the whip through the bat, next thing you know, way deep to left center.
Reggie Sanders started the Cardinals scoring back in the opening inning, fresh off 10 runs batted in a 3-game sweep of San Diego. A 2-run home run way back in left center field. Green light him 3-0, up 5-0.
Hey, this guy's the hottest hitter in your lineup. He's got the green light 4-0.
Well, 4-0. But they're going to make Reggie take his base. On a game overloaded with stats. The one that generally you can take a look at. It'll tell you who wins the game. How do teams hit with runners in scoring position? The Astros 0 for 5 tonight. The Cardinals are 2 out of 4.
Larry Walker got a base hit his last at bat. He hit .214 versus left-handed pitching this season, which was the worst he's ever hit against lefties since his rookie year, way back in 1990.
Activity for the first time in the Houston bullpen.
It's Ezekiel Estacio, right-hander, throwing for Houston down there. He made some spot starts late in the season. Sinker slider pitcher. He's a long guy out of Phil Garner's bullpen for this series.
2-0 on Larry Walker, 2 on and 2 men out. 3 balls and no strikes.
Boy, it's a different Larry Walker at bat with a couple of runners on base than when he steps into that batter's box with nobody on base. With nobody on base, he's liable to see 3 pitches in an at bat. With runners in scoring position, he's a lot more patient, looks for a ball to drive.
Walker did not have a hit in 9 at-bats of the division series. Struck out his first time tonight, but then singled in the 4th inning. 3-0. And he gets a green light and hammers it foul. Jim Hickey hoping Pettitte can get out of this 5th inning without further damage. A 2-run 5th thus far, 3-1. Bouncing ball should in the inning. Biggio has it, and that is that, but not before. Singles by Eckstein and Pujols produce 2 more. 5-0. We go to the 6th. St. Louis in front. 5-0 Cardinals at the end of 5. Again, we'd like to remind those of you who'd like to watch Game 2 between the White Sox and the Angels, you can turn over to FX. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Lance Berkman against Chris Carpenter to begin the 6th inning and be followed by Ensberg and Lamb. Talked about how well Andy Pettitte has pitched against St. Louis this season. As Berkman grounds out, we caught up with Tony La Russa a moment ago and asked him, is he surprised how well they've been able to hit him through 5 innings tonight?
Well, I'm a little surprised that we've gotten some of the contact, but you know, we're just trying to compete against him. He's been really, really good. He is really good. We're not saying that. We still got to get 12 outs.
Tony, looking at your own pitcher, Chris Carpenter, a lot of ground balls, which is, I'm sure, what you've come to expect from Chris Carpenter. I would imagine it's a sign of danger, a red flag, when he starts giving up a lot of fly ball outs.
Well, I agree, Bob. We try to pitch the ground ball a lot, and Chris has got so much movement going on both sides of the plate, getting it down that, he starts elevating. That's a good danger sign. Tony, you told us before the game, Eckstein and Nunez, how much they meant to your ball club all season long, and look no further than what they've done again here tonight. Well, just it's such a great feeling to know exactly what you're going to get from players, and these guys give it to you every night. I don't care what the circumstance. Tony, thanks for the time. Okay. We thank Jim Hickey and Tony La Russa for joining us in between innings tonight. 1-2 on Morgan Ensberg, who just missed, hitting a home run down the left field line on that pitch from Carpenter. Ensberg doubled to left center field his last time up, 1 of 2 in the game.
This is the one guy that Carpenter really hasn't located all that well against Ensberg. You either have to go in hard on him, get in on his fists, or go down and away. You leave the ball out over the middle for him. He will pull the ball in the left field.
Chris Carpenter working on 11 scoreless innings pitched so far in this postseason. And he just dominated this Houston ball club during the regular season. 4-1 in 5 starts, an ERA at 1.85. He pitched 2 complete games against him, including a shutout and a combined shutout. One hopper to Nunez. 2 away in the inning. While we have a moment, let's send it back to Los Angeles and check in with Jeannie Zalasko.
Jared Washburn out of quarantine, out of the game in Chicago, and Brendan Donnelly 2 outs with bases loaded, no worries. Needed just 3 pitches to end the threat. How about that Angels bullpen? Still tied, bottom 6.
Clearly a game effort by Washburn. You know, he had to go into that start tonight far less than 100%. Boy, that Angels club so far has been an incredible story. In the air, left field off the bat of Lamb. Reggie drifting to the warning track. Leaps. How good's Reggie going right now? Mark Rezolonic to lead off the Cardinals' 6th inning with a 5-0 lead, and Andy Pettitte delivers ball 1. Pettitte in 20 innings against St. Louis this season gave up just 3 earned runs. He surrendered 5 earned runs through 5 innings here tonight in game 1.
And at the outset of this show, we talked about the fact that the Houston offense had to do something because it wouldn't matter how well they pitched. In those 20 innings and the 3 earned runs that he gave up, Pettitte still had an 0-1 record.
Three-0 on Rezolonic, leading off the Cardinals' 6th inning, and he looks at a strike.
About Reggie going back and making this play. I don't think this would have been a home run if he didn't catch it. He's about 5 feet from the wall when he did jump. You know, Bob, a lot of people would say, well, you know, a good outfielder would have gotten back to the wall quickly, got there first, and then come back to make the play, or just jump from the wall. But that ball was hit pretty much on a line. It wasn't like he had a lot of time to get back on it, so it was a nice play.
It was a nice play. Saved at least extra bases. I agree with you. I don't think it would have been out of the ballpark, but a nice running catch on the track nonetheless.
Ground ball to short. Everett throws out Rezolonic. Let's listen in as promised earlier with Mark Mulder talking about the Andy Pettitte pickoff move.
Notice where he stepped on that first pickoff throw? How far, like, towards home? You didn't notice it at all?
But I know he does still.
No, he does. But I'm just wondering if you ever notice if he's stepping way further towards home than I do. I mean, I know my move's not as good. I'm just wondering in relation to where I stepped, because it seemed like he stepped awfully far. I always feel like I could go further, but I don't want to get called for a balk, you know?
Yeah. Hey, he's talking about how far Andy Pettitte steps towards home when he throws to first.
Into center field off the bat of Yadier Molina, and quickly 2 gone here in the St. Louis 6th inning against Pettitte.
Well, neither one of those left-handed pitchers, Andy Pettitte nor Mark Mulder, have a balk all season long. And I think in Andy Pettitte's case, he's got such a good pickoff move and has had such a good pickoff move for a long time. I think he can flirt with the borderline of what is a balk and what isn't a balk and get away with it.
Reputation.
Reputation more readily than somebody who doesn't have a reputation for having a good pickoff move.
Well, he would be the guy to pattern yourself after. One of the best moves in the game, but Mulder not too shabby. 37 career pickoffs from Mulder. Has not been in the game as long as Pettitte. Pettitte, of course, 72 times he's caught someone napping over there.
Now Nunez, who's been right in the heart of the action all night long. 2 hits, 2 at-bats, has scored a run, and made a sensational play at third base. Gunning down Morgan Ensberg at the plate on a ground ball up the third base line in the 4th inning. Coming down the right field line, and nearly getting it is Jason Lane. That's a foul ball. Tonight's WebMD Health Update, we focus on Scott Rowland. Lost for the season in mid-July after surgery to repair a labrum tear in his left shoulder. Check your own symptoms at WebMD.com. Had the collision with Hee-Seop Choi. Didn't look that bad at first, but Choi, a big, strong guy.
Got 2 big, strong guys going at it right there at first base.
Second time that Rowland has missed the postseason in a Cardinal uniform with a shoulder injury. The other occurred on a collision with, I believe, Alex Cintron of the Arizona Diamondbacks back in the 0-2 division series. We talked about Mike Matheny. Scott Rowland missing from last year's starting lineup. So too is Tony Womack.
Shuffled cards.
Down the right field line, an easier try this time for Lane and Pettitte in what may be his final inning of work. A 1-2-3-6. 5-0 as we move to the 7th. Astros come to bat against Chris Carpenter here in the 7th inning of Game 1, the National League Championship Series here on Fox. And the Cardinals lead behind Chris Carpenter 5-0. Lane, Everett, Ausmus, and then Pettitte due up here in the Houston 7th. Two and 1 to Lane.
Bob, you talked earlier about how many games for the Cardinals had been missed by guys like Rowland and Walker and Sanders in the divisional series. Tony La Russa made the same lineup card 3 nights in a row in that series. It was the first time all year he had used the same lineup for 3 games in a row. I think a team as powerful as the St. Louis Cardinals have been all season long, Tony could write those same names in and go get them. Hasn't been that way.
They had that kind of club last year, but due to all the injuries this season we've talked about, having to juggle things a bit. Fouled back out of play. Tonight is the 10th League Championship Series skippered by Tony La Russa, tying Bobby Cox for the most ever. La Russa ranks 2nd to Cox in LCS game managed, but like Cox, his 1-loss record in the LCS right around 500. La Russa only 1 game over 500 in League Championship Series play. Popped up in a foul ground, and Pools is there, 1 away. It's time now for our Pepsi fan cam. Some of the greatest fans in all of baseball right here in St. Louis, Missouri, where it rains red just about every day, spring, summer, or fall.
I thought tonight was going to be a little chilly, and I went to go find a red sweater. No chance.
Not in this town.
Of course, they had the big celebration weekend as Everett singles into left field with one away here in the 7th inning. That final weekend at Busch Stadium, regular season weekend, when the Cincinnati Reds were in town, they'll move into their brand new ballpark. That'll be the left field foul pole of the new ballpark.
Well, and wisely, the new ballpark has red seats as well. I mean, there very rarely are games where there are empty seats here at Busch Stadium. But even when they are, they're red, so they just blend in with all the fans that are here, and you never see empty seats.
Lined into right field. Walker battles the lights and makes a catch for the second out. Let's again check in with Kenny Albert.
Tom, Chris Carpenter was a huge Red Sox and Roger Clemens fan while growing up in New Hampshire. They were teammates in Toronto. Clemens won the Cy Young Award both seasons. I spoke with Clemens before the game. He told me he loved Carpenter's work ethic and routine. Clemens feels the game is in good hands with young pitchers like Carpenter and another former teammate in Toronto, Roy Halladay.
Kenny, thank you very much. Well, you talk to major league hitters about facing Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter. I mean, there might be bigger names in the game than those two guys right now. Certainly Clemens would fit the bill. But maybe more so than any two pitchers in the game today, when you talk to batters about facing either one of those two guys, they say forget it.
Matter of time before those guys develop the same type of reputation.
Chris Burke will come up. Last time he swung the bat in the 18th inning, Game 4 of the division series. That solo home run of Joey Devine, clinching the series for the Astros. The 6th series-ending home run in Major League Baseball's postseason. The first since Aaron Boone in the 03 ALCS. Well, Andy Pettitte goes 6 innings tonight. Allows 8 hits and 5 earned runs. 2 more runs than he allowed in 20 innings pitched this season against St. Louis.
Well, that home run that Burke hit was amazing. But even more incredible than that was the same guy catching both home run balls in that game. Are you kidding me?
How about that?
His name was Sean Dean. Caught both Berkman and Burke's home run balls. That is just unfathomable.
They said his friends and family said you got to go buy a lottery ticket. And that one down the left field line hit pretty well, and it is gone off the fair pole. So how about Burke? He's turned into Mickey Mantle in the playoffs. And now all of a sudden the Astros are right back in the game. A pinch hit 2-run home run by Chris Burke.
How can this guy not be starting? People are going to start asking Phil Garner. Good quick swing on a ball down and in. The only question was whether it was going to stay fair, but it hooks very little going down that left field line, and it's off the facing of the upper deck out there in left field.
Guess what? His phone is ringing off the hook again.
Again, let's check in for more on Burke with Kenny Albert.
Well, guys, Chris told me before the game he received 75 voicemails and text messages. He sent out a group email to everybody in response. He said as he was rounding the bases Sunday, he knew the game was over, but for a moment he forgot the series was over.
Oh, that's great stuff. The stuff that dreams are made of indeed. Burke in this postseason now 3 hits and 4 at-bats, 2 home runs and a double.
Burke was more a victim of circumstance with the way this team was shuffled around. He was a second baseman. When Biggio came from the outfield back to second base because of losing Kent, there was not a real spot for him. He had to learn how to play in the outfield to make the ball club.
Biggio gone swinging to end the 7th inning, but Burke, after the dramatics in the 18th inning in Houston, a pinch hit 2-run home run to bring the Astros within 3. Well, the Astros get the pinch hit home run from Burke with a man aboard in the 7th inning. 5-2 Redbirds in front. Our Nissan game summary for this National League Championship Series Game 1. Carpenter out pitching Pettitte. Pettitte leaves after 6 innings. Carpenter still in the game. Reggie Sanders now with 12 RBIs in his first 13 postseason at bats here in 2005. And the Cardinals taking advantage of getting the leadoff man aboard. 4 have reached, 3 have scored. Now taking over on the mound, the veteran right-hander Russ Springer, who's had a solid year down there for Houston.
Much traveled Russ Springer seems to have found a home in Houston, equally effective against righties and lefties. And sometimes all you have to do is look at the matchup numbers to figure out why a manager goes to a certain pitcher. He's going to be facing the opposing pitcher leading off the inning. Then David Eckstein, Jim Edmonds, a combined 0 for 10 lifetime against Russ Springer.
Springer has become just as valuable down in that bullpen as a father figure to some of the younger pitchers.
Carpenter batting here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Either one of you surprised at all? I mean, the Cardinal bullpen statistically the #1 bullpen in the National League this season. Although there are many that follow the Cardinals on a daily basis that will tell you down the stretch. Tony La Russa would be rolling the dice handing things over to that Cardinal bullpen. They did not pitch well in the playoffs. Granted, they had big leads, but didn't get people out.
Tony said he would push Carpenter a little bit further in today's ball game because he's had enough rest between his last start, and he'll have enough rest again before his next start if he makes one in this series.
You may remember when we asked Tony La Russa about Chris Carpenter, and perhaps a warning sign when he was getting near the end is when he starts giving up fly balls. And Mike Lamb flied out to end the 6th inning. Fly ball to right field by Brad Osmus. A pop up to first base by Lane. The home run by Burke. So they are starting to elevate the ball.
Carpenter gone on strikes. We remind you this week on Fox NFL Sunday we'll take a closer look at the Giants dynamic duo of Eli Manning and Plaxico Burress to see if they can lead New York to the Super Bowl. And we'll find out the reason behind Drew Bledsoe's rebirth in Dallas. Fox NFL Sunday begins this weekend, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on Fox.
Talked a little bit about the shakiness of the bullpen in the division series against San Diego. The bullpen's ERA was 8.64. The starters 1.45. Good reason to hang in there with your starters.
One 1-0 to David Eckstein. Fastball away. Eckstein 2 of 3 has scored twice and knocked in a run. The Astros will send up 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order against Carpenter in the 8th inning. Taveras, Berkman, and Ensberg. On Eckstein.
Now, guys, it's funny when you look out on the field here today, when you see some tremendous baseball players, when you think of the term gamer, I really think of one guy on each side. Biggio for the Astros and Eckstein on this side, 2 of the smaller guys on the field.
Of course, David Eckstein has played in a World Series for a World Series champion. The 2002 Anaheim Angels. Craig Biggio has never played in the Fall Classic. Driven into left center field. Taveras will run it down. Our Fox sounds of the game. Mark Mulder a moment ago talking about the right-hander Russ Springer of the Astros.
I could not hit his ball. Because it was so straight, and he threw everyone like right here to where I could, if it would have been down, I could have hit it. But they were all strikes, but they were like mask high. And I swung and missed, and then I took the...
Pitchers talking about hitting. You got to love that, huh?
Why waste your time?
I'll tell you, I think that's a great advantage, though, to pitchers in the National League that have to get in that batter's box and see how tough it is to hit. You know, when you stand up there with a bat in your hands and a helmet on your head, you realize that every pitch doesn't have to be perfect to get the desired result. And consequently, I think pitchers are a little more aggressive in the National League than you see in the American League.
I think it gives them a lot more confidence as to what pitch and what location to throw their own pitches when they stand up there and realize, hey, I can't hit that slider away. Maybe I should start throwing a few more of them.
2-0 to Jim Edmonds, and Springer the pause in the pitch. Fastball misses inside. 3-0. No activity in either bullpen. Tony La Russa let Chris Carpenter bat to begin this bottom half of the 7th inning. He said he would use Jason Isringhausen for more than just 3 outs tonight if need be. 3-0 green light, dump foul and out of play.
Well, any manager would tell you the ideal formula for a game 1 of a series is get 8 innings out of your starter and give the ball to your closer. That means obviously you've got a lead in the 9th inning. You haven't had to dip into your bullpen and tax those guys because you don't know what's going to happen over the course of this series.
We talked about both these bullpens dynamite, especially going back to the beginning of June. And that's when the Astros made their remarkable run. Much like last year, they waited longer to get started last season. 3-2 now on Edmonds.
Not only the bullpens, but you might think that just because you talk more about St. Louis's offense, as you see this ball up and in, pitching staff might get a little edgy. Talked a lot about the big 3 for the Astros and where they fit in on the ERA titles. The top 10, 3 of those guys in the top 10 in ERA, but in team ERA was the St. Louis Cardinals that finished in first place in the National League, not the Astros.
It's a big walk right there by Springer, because it gives Pujols a chance to bat here in the 7th inning with a man on. Albert, 1 of 2, has walked and knocked in a run with a single in the 2-run 5th inning. You can't say enough about Pujols. He has gotten fat indeed off National League pitching his first 5 years, a 4-time All-Star. Only player Steve brought up earlier in Major League history with 30 or more home runs in his first 5 years. He's the first National League player to lead the league in runs scored 3 years in a row since Pete Rose did it with a Big Red Machine in the mid-70s. Pete Rose was a leadoff hitter.
Had a few more opportunities to be on base and get at bats every night, didn't he? Talking about a leadoff hitter. Going to get far more opportunities to be on and score runs than your number 4 hitter in a lineup.
Fouled out of play, first base side, 1-2. Well, we figured when this one began, knowing that Andy Pettitte would be locked up with Chris Carpenter, it'd be a low-scoring game, and 5-2 certainly not a high-scoring game, but Carpenter's been just so great all year long, and again here tonight.
Letting his defense work behind him. We heard Tony La Russa talk about the ground balls. Carpenter has so much movement. He gets a lot of ground balls, and this Cardinal defense has been airtight.
Punches it to the second baseman, which will end the inning. Top of the 8th inning, Carpenter on the mound, and Taveras, Berkman, and Ensberg coming up for the Astros. And we were talking, fellas, in between innings, maybe the last time Carpenter and the Cardinals have to go through the heart of the order. This is a huge inning for Houston.
Well, it really is. They've got their speed guy leading off here, Willie Taveras, if he can find a way to get on base, although it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But this is the last time the Cardinals pitching staff is going to have to work their way through the meat of the Astros order, and they've got Jason Isringhausen sitting down there with 39 saves.
And you know, Steve, they missed those 2 scoring chances early in the game. You're going to look back perhaps and say, what if?
Yeah, and at the top of the order, when you look at the first 3 guys in that lineup, 2 for 11, no runs scored. We talked about how important it is for those guys to get it going at the top of the order, to let the back half of that order, at least the middle of it, have some scoring opportunities, and that hasn't happened tonight.
Well, the Astros in the third inning had the bases loaded with only one out, and Berkman hit a bullet right at the second baseman, and they turn the double play to end the inning. And just like that, Carpenter has set down the first two on ground balls in this eighth inning. Chris Carpenter, who just dominated the National League, healthy again this season. Over the last 2 years, the best winning percentage in all of Major League Baseball. We talked about that miraculous stretch from May to September, 22 consecutive starts, allowing 3 runs or less. Is he the National League Cy Young Award winner? The two primary candidates, and you could certainly make a strong case for either one, would be Carpenter or Dontrelle Willis. Carpenter through the heart of the order. 1, 2, 3. Cardinals have been like a land rover through the National League the last 2 years, back-to-back 100-plus win seasons, and they lead, batting for what they hope will be the final time in Game 1 of this National League Championship Series. A 5-2 lead. Ezequiel Astasio takes over on the mound.
Mentioned earlier when Astasio was warming up the first time, he's a sinker slider pitcher. Pitched in 22 games for the Astros this year, 14 as a starter, especially late in the season.
Down the right field line. And a nice play up against the fence by Jason Lane. 1 pitch, 1 out for Astasio. Time now for Ardell, defining moment of the game. First inning, man aboard, Reggie. A 2-run home run to left field to get the Redbirds flying early.
That really was the defining moment of this ball game. We've talked so much about fundamental baseball, playing for a run at a time, and when you spot the other team to a 2-0 lead in the first inning, it kind of makes it tough to play small ball.
Jason Isringhausen, the Cardinal closer, cranking it up in the bullpen. He had 39 saves this season.
Astasio was not on the postseason roster for the Division Series. Put on the roster for the League Championship Series, thinking that they might need a little bit more pitching facing this offense. The guy that gets left off of the League Championship roster was Luke Scott. Luke Scott, if you'll remember, to me had one of the biggest at-bats in that 18-inning game. Worked Farnsworth for a walk in a crucial situation right ahead of Berkman's grand slam.
Pretty nice changeup right there by Astasio, and then Walker way out in front on a 2-1 pitch.
Not only the change in speeds, but you could see the movement down and away from the left-handed hitter. Even if you make contact, it's going to be a harmless ground ball.
Well, they very much believe Astasio has a chance to be a big-time pitcher for the Astros in years to come. He came over, as we talked about earlier, in the Billy Wagner trade. Well, there's a lot to like in that at-bat. Walker gone swinging on a breaking ball down and in. It's interesting to note the winner of Game 1 of the National League Championship Series has advanced to the World Series in each of the last 12 years. You have to go all the way back to 1991. The Atlanta Braves were the last team to get a loss in Game 1 and then still advance on to the Fall Classic.
That's embarrassing right there when you're the ball person down the line. And you clank the ground ball, and then you have to chase it all the way down into left field. Look, he's trying to hide behind his helmet. It's just not working. And now he's saying, there's no way I'm giving you the ball. Gotta go chase it.
Gave it to that little girl.
Good move.
Well, we laugh about that foul ball down the third base line, but defensively the Astros are shading Grzelcyk to hit the ball the opposite field. Willie Taveras way over in the gap in right center. Berkman way over in the gap in left center. Astasio threw him a changeup inside, and he just pulled it foul down that third baseline. Generally, when you overshift like this with your outfield, you have to pitch to get the guy to hit the ball into your shift.
Yeah, you don't throw change-ups down and in. Sliders, fastballs, outer half, make them hit the ball into your defense.
2-on-2 to Gredzalonic. Struck him out swinging. Jason Isringhausen. Will he come on to try and close it out? He only blew 4 saves all year. 2 of them were against the Astros. Top of the 9th inning, Houston down 3. Couple of changes for Tony La Russa. So Taguchi takes over in right field for Larry Walker. And now getting the ball, coming off a season which he saved 39 games, only blew 4 saves all year. We mentioned 2 of those against the Astros. Jason Isringhausen. Mike Lamb to begin the 9th inning. And looks at a strike. Lamb 0 for 3.
Isringhausen describes himself as no secrets. They come right at you. Throw a hard fastball. I throw a hard curveball. I try to throw strikes. It's been his problem occasionally. Said he still gets very, very nervous before appearing in games like this.
Barely getting a piece of it is Lamb. No balls and 2 strikes.
Boy, that's nasty stuff so far. The few pitches he's thrown up there, they're unhittable. What are you going to do with them? On the knees, nasty movement.
Lamb, Lane, and Everett, the trio coming up here in the Houston 9th inning. A combined 2 of 24 against Isringhausen. Grounded foul again. He's been very, very consistent and dependable as a Cardinal closer.
His 5th 30-plus save season this year. 140 saves with the Cardinals, rather. 2nd in team history. So you mentioned Lamb, Lane, and Everett. Good chance that the Astros get a runner, or especially 2 runners on base. We're going to see Jeff Bagwell hitting for somebody at the bottom of this order. Bagwell is a guy that's had some success against Isringhausen in his career. 6 for 18 with a home run. I got to believe Phil Garner will drop him in there anywhere after Jason Lane, Everett, Osmus, or the pitcher spot.
Lamb hanging in there. Chased a breaking ball away and able to foul it off. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Probably try to wait as long as possible to see who gets on in front of him. He wants to put Bagwell in a situation where he can drive in runs, and drive in runs not necessarily by hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
1-2 to Lamb. Breaking ball, and he dumps it into left field, a base hit. So the Astros with a leadoff man aboard, down 3 here in the top half of the 9th inning. Tonight's Chevrolet player of the game, Cardinal starter Chris Carpenter. 17 ground ball outs. The most ground ball outs by a pitcher in a postseason game since Greg Maddux in Game 2 of that World Series against the Yankees back in '96. Ball 1 low to Jason Lane in recognition of his outstanding pitching. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America Chevy and American Revolution. One to Lane.
It'll be interesting to see who Bagwell does hit for. We talked to him before the ball game. He said, I'm not going to hit him for Osmus. Osmus has been one of our hottest hitters. I questioned why he didn't hit him for Osmus when there was 2 outs in the 9th of the 18-inning game that they won. He said, hey, he's my best guy right now.
And Jeff Bagwell, because of the right shoulder surgery, is not driving the ball like he has throughout the course of his career. That's why, as you mentioned, he's going to try to get him in there in a situation where he can do damage without necessarily hitting a home run ball. But Jason Isringhausen may take the options away from Phil Garner here in this inning.
On the inside corner. 2-2 to Jason Lane, who's 0 for 2. He drew a walk back in the 4th.
It's the time in the game where the defensive outfield for the Cardinals starts to take a few steps back. Try to keep most of the balls in front of him.
Able to fight it off and fouled out of play. Strike three called, and Lane has words with Tim McClellan, the home plate umpire.
Lane thought this ball was low. McClellan hesitated just a little bit on the call. Punched him out.
Well, it's been relatively a dispute-free game up until that pitch right there. A couple of borderline pitches have gone each way.
Molina did a good job of framing that, and Isringhausen has been down around the knees this entire game since he's been in there.
Ball one down low to Adam Everett. One hit in 3 at bats. Top of the 9th inning, Houston with a man aboard, down 3 against Isringhausen, and a fastball strike evens the count. The home team won every game of the league championship series between these two last year. And there's strike 2.
You talk about a guy coming in and establishing where he wants to throw the ball. Some pitchers will want a little bit more of the corner by keep throwing in the same spot. Izzy's been on the knees and trying to go lower.
Came with a breaking ball and fisted, and they may get the force out at second. The throw is awry, and on to second base goes Everett, and advancing on to third is Lamb. The runner at first had to wait to see if that ball would be caught, and once it fell in, Eckstein looked like he had more time and hurried the throw.
Eckstein didn't realize that they were waiting to see who would catch it. He thought he really had to hurry. He doesn't realize that they're waiting to see if anyone has a chance to catch this ball. He did have more time.
That'll be an infield hit and then an error allowing the runners to advance. And here comes Brad Ausmus. Let's go back to the 10th inning, September the 2nd, the Cardinals and the Astros. Morgan Ensberg, a game-tying solo home run, and then Brad Ausmus, the big one, off Isringhausen.
As you can see from that pitch from Isringhausen to Brad Ausmus, it was a cutter right over the heart of the plate. He was having trouble getting the ball down in that particular game. He's been doing it very good in this game.
Tying run at the plate. Did he go? They appeal, and no, says Greg Gibson, the first base umpire.
Get a better look at it from this angle. Very close.
One of the reasons why guys use black bats is that they are tougher to see at night. Maybe you get the benefit of that call.
2-0 to Ausmus. And he takes a strike, borderline strike there. That looked low and away. So now the Astros with a tying run at the plate, and Ausmus, of course, hit the home run in the 9th inning against Atlanta. That pitch was low. Runners at second and third, and Isringhausen delivers. Fastball paints the outside corner to even the count.
Wow, he is giving him everything down there now, Tom. I mean, we talked about that. A pitcher will try to establish what he's doing, and an umpire will be more apt to give him the borderline calls if the pitcher has said, hey, I'm going to keep throwing it there and throwing it there. That is some filthy stuff.
That's an unhittable pitch right there.
2-2 to Ausmus. In the air, straight away center field. This will bring in a run. Edmonds going to fire into the plate, and that makes it a 5-3 game, but the Astros down to their final out. in the 9th inning. Jose Vizcaíno did .246 during the regular season with 1 home run, 23 runs batted in. 0 for 5 during the division series against Atlanta. Biggio is the man Houston wants to come to the plate here in the 9th with long ball power in the on-deck circle. And a tapper to the right side. The Cardinals have got him up. Our final. The producer of tonight's game, Jeff Gowen. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our associate producer, Carol Langley McDermott. Our associate director, Eric Billickmeyer. And our broadcast associates, Jeremy Green and Mike Fox. Our technical director, Diane Rotante. And our technical director is Jeff Butler.